Malaysia 370, good morning.
Malaysia 370, standby.
March 8th, 2014. 239 passengers boarded a Boeing 777 in Kuala Lumpur, bound for Beijing. Everything seemed like an ordinary flight, just a routine journey through the night sky. But over the dark waters of the Indian Ocean, the aircraft suddenly vanished from the radar. There was no distress call, no warning, and no explanation. And even after all these years, the same question remains. What actually happened to MH370? It all began shortly after midnight on March 8th at Kuala Lumpur International Airport. Flight 370, bound for Beijing, was waiting for takeoff clearance at the edge of the runway. At the time, the Boeing 777 was considered one of the safest and most advanced aircraft in the world. It was a tank in the sky, built for the oceans, a masterpiece of flawless engineering. But that night, the absolute trust in technology was about to face the fragility of a human's dark will. For Captain Zahari and First Officer Farik, this was just another routine flight among thousands. On board were 227 passengers and 12 crew members, families, engineers, and young dreamers. No one knew that when those doors closed, they were starting a journey with no return. At 12:41 a.m., the engines just roared. The massive Boeing 777 climbed into the dark night sky. For the first hour, everything was by the book. At 35,000 feet, the autopilot took over. But below, at the critical line between Malaysia and Vietnam, an invisible hand was about to press a button. The weather was clear, no technical issues. But at that exact point, the link to the world was severed in a single move. The world didn't know it yet. But for MH370, time had stopped. Right there. At 1:19 a.m., the aircraft was at the final border of Malaysian airspace. Captain Zahari whispered those famous parting words to the tower.
Good night, Malaysia 370.
This voice was not just a farewell. It was the end of the known world. Just 2 minutes later, at exactly 1:21, the aircraft's transponder suddenly went silent. MH370, once a bright dot on the radar, turned into a pitch-black void. The plane was still there, but in the digital world, it was gone. Normally, the aircraft should have sent an emergency signal. The pilots should have called Mayday, but an eerie silence took over the cockpit. No cries for help and no sounds of panic. In that no man's land, between Malaysia and Vietnam, the massive Boeing 777 was swallowed, as if by a black hole. But the terrifying part wasn't the disappearance. The real mystery began right after that silence. While civilian radars lost the plane, military radars in the region were recording something impossible. The aircraft had made a sharp turn off its course. This was not a mechanical drift. Someone had taken control and was steering it into the dark void. A ghost plane with 239 souls was wandering the sky, and the world was still unaware of this massive tragedy. After vanishing from the radar, the aircraft completely changed its course. And right at that moment, a terrifying truth emerged that shocked the aviation world. MH370 had turned back north, heading straight toward its homeland, Malaysia. Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah was a highly experienced man at the controls, a man who knew the skies like the back of his hand and loved his profession. But that night, he diverted the plane to fly directly over his own home, Penang Island. Was this a coincidence? Or was it Zahari saying goodbye to his life and his past? The aircraft passed over his hometown, almost like a final salute, slow and controlled. Was this the reason for the silence? Was the captain taking those souls on a silent farewell tour? While the plane flew low over Malaysia, most passengers were likely sleeping. In peace, perhaps. Captain Zahari was planning a last goodbye, with no other destination in mind. But this was only the beginning. As the plane turned its nose toward the pitch-black waters of the Indian Ocean, a journey written into the depths of the ocean had begun. With no way back, when the sun rose, the world began searching for MH370. It became the largest search operation in history. Dozens of countries, hundreds of ships and satellites scoured every inch of the ocean. But there was no wing fragment, no oil slick, not even a single life jacket. It was as if the ocean had made the plane a part of itself, buried in silence. Months passed. Years turned into decades. They mapped the ocean floor, but it was all in vain. Every new technology, every new hope, vanished into the darkness of the deep. And now, 12 full years have passed. Today, the final resting place of those 239 souls remains a mystery. A few fragments washed ashore, proving the flight ended in those waters. But the massive fuselage is still missing. Even after 12 years, time has stopped for the families. The question, but where, remains a knot in their hearts. In an age of satellites, the disappearance of a massive plane is the ultimate blow to human technological pride. MH370 is not just a crash, it is a silent scream that will echo forever in the depths of the ocean. So, what actually happened? Even without a confession, the data leads us to a single point. MH370 was not a victim of an accident. It was a victim of a choice. Satellite data proves that the plane was diverted from within by a conscious act. It was flown to the most remote part of the ocean until its very last drop of fuel. At first, suspicion fell on 2 passengers with fake passports. Was it a hijacking? But investigations proved they were just migrants searching for a better life. The plane was not a victim of an outside attack. This was not a crash. It was an extermination, decided by a single will inside the cockpit at 6,000 meters deep. What lies there is not just metal, but the dreams of 239 people. The missing fuselage is not a mystery. It is a story of defeat against the vastness of the ocean. The secret of MH370 is not in the depths. It is in the cockpit, within the mind that changed the course. The truth is, the plane went down, but it wasn't a tragedy. It was a choice. And for 12 years, the world has paid the price of that choice, with the tears of families still waiting for an answer. That's all for this week. From StoryHB. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to subscribe for more. We'll see you next week with a brand new journey into the unknown.